Today's episode is brought to you by Inksighted. You brand you.
Do y'all know what time it is? Do y'all really know what time it is? It's time to grab your popcorn, grab your best beverage. It's time to relax your ears. Wrestling season has returned. Yeah, that's right. And it's time for your main event. Coming down the aisle, we have the one, Bobby Wrestles. And he is accompanied by the beautiful Mia Moore. This is the main event. Welcome to the All About Wrestling podcast.
Yo. On a Friday, I'm your guy, Bobby Wrestles. Welcome to the All About Wrestling podcast. Welcome to the briefing. And I am back to talk about wrestling. I missed you guys, but I'm here. Shout out to Tantalizing Tony, the brother, the tantalizing one. Make sure you check him out. All right, send some support and some love his way. Folks, today we are talking about Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans, folks, she leaves WWE. Gone, out of here. Did you see it coming? After all the numerous attempts to reinvigorate her career, her gimmick, her character, I guess they just pulled the plug. Akash SP, what's going on, bro? What's going on? I'd love to get your thoughts about this. Well, exit Lacey, enter Macey. That's what we're talking about. All right. But first, let's have the Wrestling Online report. Folks, the Wrestling Online report is brought to you by Wrestling Online. Our good folks over at The Machine, brought to you by Colin Vassallo, and we're here to talk news. Folks, tonight's Friday, and we're looking forward to SmackDown, but however, most of us might not be. Tonight may possibly be Edge's last match. He's going one-on-one against Sheamus. All right, this is the last match on his current WWE contract. He says he's still not 100% sure, however, if tonight's match will be his retirement match. But one thing is for sure, this match is his last match on his current contract. And if he signs a new one after this remains up in the air. He said, quote, "Here's what I can honestly say. And this isn't the answer that everybody's going to want. I truly don't know. Already retired once in return, Edge has said that when he finally calls it quits, the second time around, it'll be for good. This time when I do it, though, I'm done. That'll be it. There's no coming back after this one." Edge's wife, Beth Phoenix, his kids, friends, and trainer will be at ringside in Toronto tonight to see him take on Sheamus. Now, just that alone, I mean, just to have all of that support there, your wife, your trainer, your kids, that says something. I mean, perhaps this is his last match. But how to go out, like on SmackDown? Like, really? Or is this the prelude to another great, interesting storyline? It could be. All right, so let's keep our eyes peeled. Let's keep focused and see what's gonna happen and how that's gonna turn out. AEW. Okay, so apparently AEW is donating their sponsorship money from Dynamite. If you just saw, they had a Texas Chainsaw Massacre sponsorship match, and the company received a six-figure sum over $100,000, according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. This is for sponsoring the death match between Jeff Hardy and Jeff Jarrett. The match was planned on social media. It brought back memories of the zombie match, which WWE did back in 2021, if you remember, as a sponsor for Damian Priest versus The Miz at Backlash. So I think that's a pretty good cause. You know, it was kind of different, but it's for a good cause. If you're excited for All In, Stadium Stampede returns. Stadium Stampede will feature 12 stars in a 6-on-6 match with Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Lucha Bros, and Best Friends taking on John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Willer Yuta, and 3 others yet to be named. So we're going to keep our eyes and ears glued to the streets. And here's a story I love to report. You know how I feel about this situation. Tammy Sitch, you once came for us. You came for all of us podcasters, you know, all of us content creators. You came for us, and now karma. Tammy Sitch pleads no contest, sentencing on November 27th. Folks, she's facing up to 25 years in prison. All right, I'm not going to go into details about the whole situation with her being involved in numerous DUIs. But, hey, who am I? Who am I? Folks, welcome to the briefing. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. Whoa, Akash. FTR Cash Wheeler is arrested. Is this a new story? Folks, do I need to change my topic? Where is this coming from? Akash? I did not hear this. Ooh, this is... Let's see. Wow. 1 hour ago. Folks, Cash Wheeler arrested on assault charges. Wow. This was an hour ago. Shout out to Akash SP76 who broke this story on the All About Wrestling podcast. Boy, oh boy. Wow. Akash, thank you. The 36-year-old was arrested Friday morning. This is courtesy of F4WOnline.com. Ian Carey wrote this 47 minutes ago, folks. Was arrested Friday morning. Was first reported by the Orlando Sentinel. Wheeler has been charged with 1 count of aggravated assault with a firearm. A firearm. Folks, this is real. This is real. Hold on. A firearm and booked in circuit court. According to county records, the offense occurred on July 27th, and an arrest warrant was filed on July 28th. All right, so this incident is an old incident. We're just getting light of this. Hold on, but he was arrested today. Wait a minute. Wheeler pled not guilty, though through a lawyer on August 3rd. He was then arrested by the Orlando Police Department this morning. A hearing has been scheduled for later today. So they sat on this story, folks. This is the first I'm hearing about it. This story was sat on. Further information regarding the incident that led to the charge is not currently available. AEW issued a statement in response to the news. AEW has been made aware of the charge, and we are closely monitoring the situation. Wheeler is fully cooperating with local authorities, the company stated to the Orlando Sentinel. All right. Wheeler, and this is all courtesy of F4WOnline.com. This article I'm reading right now. Wheeler is being represented by lawyer Bryce Akins from the Unmansky law firm. Wow. So the maximum penalty, according to Hanlon Law, for the charge in Florida is 5 years in prison or 5 years probation plus a $5,000 fine. The firm notes that even first-time offenders can face jail time for the offense. What are the details here? They're scheduled to defend the AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Young Bucks at All In at Wembley Stadium. Folks, what if this match doesn't happen? Folks, what are the details? Does anybody know? Fandito is here. Smash the like button. Bro, did you hear about, oh man, Cash Wheeler being arrested for aggravated assault with a firearm? Okay, and this was a report by Ian Carey, F4WOnline.com. All right, that's my source. Oh man, you do a show and then bam, just like that, man. All right, folks, we're gonna keep our eyes glued to the screen, our ears glued to the streets. We need to figure out what happened, because perhaps this affects All In some way. You know, legendary part of a legendary tag team, FTR. And I really want to know the details. I want to know the details about this. All right, so folks, this is pro wrestling. And wrestling is filled with momentous historical events and dates. So let's talk about this day in wrestling. All right, folks, today in 1993, Clash of Champions WCW brought us Vader, who retained the World Championship, the WCW World Championship, versus Davey Boy Smith, who also known as the British Bulldog. Ironically, 3 years later, 1996, main event at SummerSlam, we saw Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, go up against Vader in the main event. And the result of that match was a disqualification, all right? And Vader retained the WWF Championship. Also, birthdays. Today's birthday, Tony Garea and Dr. Tom Pritchard. All right? Akash, I like your thinking. They might do a #1 tournament for the tag titles. We've seen this many times. When something happens with the current champion. This is deep, guys. Who would have thought that I'd come here wanting to talk about Lacey Evans, a.k.a. Macey Estrella? Boom. Information comes out of an old incident. However, we're just hearing about Cash Wheeler being arrested for firearm ag assault charges. It's unreal. It's unreal, folks. Man, oh man. All right, let's get to our big story. Folks, Lacey Evans leaves WWE. Now, for some, this may come as a surprise, but for some, it may not. We've seen the big machine, WWE, in all of its glory, try to recreate who Lacey Evans was. My opinion, I liked her when she first came. The Southern Belle. I think that was a great character. And that kind of went down the toilet when they decided to mix her into a romantic relationship with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And it somehow ended with her claiming that she was pregnant. And in real life, she really was, but you can't finish a story that way. Of course, that story never finished. She disappeared. She went out on maternity, and she came back with a completely new character. So we saw that happen. And Tantalizing Tony, bro, I completely agree with you. They should not have changed her character. She had so much momentum. In fact, I think they should have kept going and going and going, and they would not have had to create these other alterations of what we saw. And then we saw her come back with weekly vignettes of her talking about how difficult her life was. You know, we cannot believe that Lacey Evans went through all of these things with her upbringing, a potentially abusive relationship, and she entered into the armed forces. Now, we do know, and we remember that she did have a military background, which I'll get into in a little while. But we kept waiting to see when is she going to make her return? You know, when is she coming? When is she coming? And then the vignettes died. Then they came back. And then she came and she began to wrestle, and we determined that she was a heel. Oh, wait a minute. The vignettes, they urged us to cheer her on and to get behind her as a woman of determination and perseverance, right? But lo and behold, we were taken aback and confused because she was a heel. And lo and behold, she disappears. And then she's repackaged again. She comes back with a character similar to Sergeant Slaughter's. And I did not really understand a lot of the heat that she got from Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, this was probably not her decision, and if it was, WWE ran with it. Fandito, he says Sergeant Slaughter didn't like her trying to be Sergeant Slaughter, in his own words. But come on, this man of all people should understand that in pro wrestling, it's a show. It's a business first, but it's a show. Come on, no one will forget you, Sergeant Slaughter. You know? It's Lacey Evans. Southern Belle Lacey was good, but after that, it went downhill. And Akash, he alludes to the fact that there was a Twitter war between Sergeant Slaughter and Lacey Evans. How petty and how foolish do you look? Getting into a war of words on social media with a character created by a wrestling company. Anybody out there understand what I'm saying here? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm still, to this day, trying to understand why was there so much heat between Sergeant Slaughter and Lacey Evans. I don't get it. What is the beef? I mean, did he slide into her DMs one day and try to get the draws? I'm just saying. I mean, the anger and the frustration was completely misdirected. I had no idea. And Tantalized Tony says she must have rubbed someone the wrong way. Maybe she did. But that's what wrestlers do. You know? Especially if you're a heel. You're a heel. And of all people to have thick skin, I would have thought Sergeant Slaughter would have been, you know, one of the guys to have that. But I digress. So Lacey Evans gone. And we're back again. It's ridiculous. It's really, really, really ridiculous. And do I feel bad for her? I don't know. Her contract was not renewed. All right, wasn't renewed. I guess they tried to do as much as they could before her contract expired. But do you think she's going to come back to wrestling? The majority of you said yes, she'll be back. She'll be back. 83% of you, in fact, said that Lacey Evans is not done with wrestling. I could see her coming back. I mean, great wrestler, by the way. I think she was completely underrated with what she could do in the ring. Her height, her size, her speed, her agility. Her and Charlotte had some of the most memorable matches, if you can recall. And she went to social media and she said, look, when the clock strikes 12, you will address me as Macey Estrella from here on out. All right, and that was from her. Man, oh man. So she pretty much alluded to the fact, look, I'm done. I'm done. It is what it is. So there you have it. Fandito, He says he's indifferent to the Lacey situation. But on one hand, I feel bad. On the other, I knew her time in WWE was changing. It was. I mean, you can't get too many chances, the character. And the big machine, look, they want to see you succeed. Look, you need to succeed. You need to do what you got to do. You need to get a fan base behind you, because we're not going to keep putting all of this energy and time into your character. And do I think the fans were a bit harsh? Yeah, maybe, considering all that she's done. She's entertained me, and she had the potential to entertain everyone. But we know how fans can be. Sometimes fans can be very, very unfair. And I talked about this in a previous episode. All right, so Macey Estrella Cadillac, that's her name, known professionally as Macey Estrella, an American professional wrestler and former United States Marine. Will she go to AEW or Impact? I'd like to see her in Impact. That's just my opinion. I think she'd have more of an edge there. That's just my thoughts. She's 5'8". She was billed from South Carolina, Paris Island. She was trained by Sarah Del Rey, Tom Chiazzo, in a WWE Performance Center. Her debut was in 2014. Get this, she was a sergeant in the United States Marine, Special Reaction Team, Provost Marshal's Office, and she battled in the war in Afghanistan and also the Iraqi War. So, combat veteran, folks. She got 2 awards. 1, the National Defense Service Medal, and 2, an award for Global War on Terrorism Service Medal. There you have it. So, thank you for your service, Macey. She did begin on the independent circuit. In fact, she was a champion in her early career. This is really sad. I mean, I did want to see her come back reinvigorated, with more momentum, more steam behind her, but it just didn't happen that way. It just didn't happen that way. Do I blame WWE? I can't blame WWE, because they gave her a lot. Gave her a lot of time, a lot of energy and support. But the missing piece was the fans. As Akash SP says, she did not connect with the audience. Superfan Johnny thinks that she was great till WWE changed her over. I agree, but I think the story was damaged. You cannot have her go out on maternity claiming that she's pregnant by Ric Flair, and then come back with a different character and never have any mention of that. I think that was career suicide right there. Everybody remembers that. Everybody was still waiting to see, like, all right, and I like the storyline. I really did. It was a good conflict between her and Charlotte Flair, but I don't think that she should have ended up becoming pregnant by Nature Boy in the story. I don't. Perhaps they could have, pulled out an old trick from the past, show them in a hotel room, have Charlotte pop in, fight ensues, ice thrown around the room, stuff like that. That would have been great. Because then we would have knew, all right, this is we would have alluded to the fact that, oh yeah, they have a romantic relationship. This is deep. This is deep. Gosh, with more news. Oh wow, WWE filed trademark of old ECW pay-per-view names. I'm surprised they didn't have that already. But yeah, yep. Bandito, her career was dead once that maternity leave happened. I agree. How do you come back from that? How do you come back from that? Folks, it's great to be back. It really is. Shout out to nice guy Andy, who, by the way, Fandito is a mainstay on the Nice Guy Andy podcast. Make sure you check them out Wednesday nights. You can also find them on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And of course, the tantalizing one. Make sure you check him out on YouTube, folks. Twitter, which is now X, by the way. I need to change this. But yeah. Yeah, he's the man. He is the man. Yeah, but I mean the whole Lacey Evans thing is terrible. It really is. There was so much more they could have done with her, and she had so much left. But like majority of you think she's coming back, and I agree. She's coming back, whether it's WWE, whether it's Impact, AEW. I'll be interested to find out. Folks, are you guys ready for WrestleMania? I said, are you ready for WrestleMania? Folks, WrestleMania, the countdown is on. Before you know it, WrestleMania will be here. It's coming to Philadelphia, folks. Philadelphia. And of course, I will be in attendance. I'm sure Tantalizing Tony will be in attendance. Vandito, you coming down? It's going to be a party. It's going to be great. And folks, if you may have seen, I've changed the topic to this show. I've postponed it. Originally, it was going to be Jay versus Jimmy. We're going to talk about that. We all know kayfabe, Jey Uso has left. He's left the WWE, which creates a lot of speculation. I also asked you guys if Jimmy versus Jay was a worthy WrestleMania match. If it even went that far. I mean, it may be a Survivor Series match, maybe a Royal Rumble match. Who knows? However, it would be great to see them two go at each other. However, the way that the situation happened on last week's SmackDown was kind of lackluster. It kind of makes me think that Jay thinks, after this happened, it's just Jimmy. This is the way it is. Super kicked him and left. Is it over between these two? That's what we're going to find out. What else happens with the bloodline? Well, tonight we're going to find out. There were reports that there were no segments set for the bloodline, but again, we've always been surprised. So, it's going to be interesting. And Akash, you're saying that it is said they have to hold the bloodline story for some time. That'd be cool. I mean, not, you know what I'm trying to say here. I mean, we all love the bloodline story, but you can't squeeze the sponge until there's nothing left, Let it simmer. Let it simmer. We're still waiting to see if The Rock is going to accept the challenge. The Tribal Chief, who knows? We may never see that match. We've talked about it. We've tried to influence the masses by way of our platforms and social media channels. Sometimes you can speak things and produce things into existence, but it seems like it's their time or never. And Judgment Day has really taken over. Everybody loves the Judgment Day. Jay versus Jimmy is inevitable. It is, but do we want to see that? I mean, come on. Do we really want to see that? There's not too many things that could come from the end of that match other than them either making up or going their separate ways. The only difference here is, and I'm comparing this to the Rockers, circa 1980s, late 1980s, when Marty Jannetty was thrown through a barbershop window. You guys remember that? The Rockers, arguably one of the greatest tag teams of all time. The Usos, arguably one of the greatest tag teams of all time. But in one of these splits, we saw a character get rid of his partner and excel to heights that were unimaginable. When Shawn Michaels took Marty Jannetty by the face, am I even saying this right? Am I mixing this up with Brutus the Barber Beefcake here? Or did Shawn Michaels super kick Marty Jannetty and that was the end? And then Shawn Michaels came on to be one of the greatest world champions of all time. Can this happen with Jay? The difference here is that we're going to see Jimmy again. Marty Jannetty's career went down the toilet. After that incident, he never recovered. The Rockers were done. They were no more. However, we're talking about the Usos here, who managed to achieve more tag team championships than the Rockers could have dreamed of. And perhaps there's a lot more in Jimmy's tank, and we see this. So there's a stark comparison between both teams. But what more can happen? Either they get back to being the Usos or Jay has a solo career. That's it. Is this a match that we want to see? We're going to see the same moves from each person. And maybe that's why we never saw a Shawn Michaels versus Marty Jannetty match. I think the great decision was made. And if Jimmy becomes Jannetty, it will be sad. It will be terrible. They're one and the same. You know what I mean? It's not like they're twins here. It's different. You know? And we don't want to see Jimmy on an episode of Dark Side of the Ring, if you know what I'm saying, like Marty Jannetty was. All right, folks, I think that's it for today. Special shout out to Fandito, our moderator. Akash, thanks for that news, man. You seem to be up on everything in pro wrestling in terms of news. I appreciate you. Folks, make sure you keep it locked. Follow us on Instagram. And I'll be back soon. And I'm definitely going to keep looking into this Cash Wheeler story. Came out of nowhere. Came out of left field. Of course, the incident happened a while ago. We didn't know about it. But the story broke. So I appreciate all of you guys. And I will catch you guys later.